accidentally looked myself in the mirror. What the hell has happened to my arms? This is working.
Malin! You need to hear how she lost 35 kilos.
Found her abs in her 40s.
You don't recognize yourself. You walk by a mirror and you didn't even look. I was so tired all the time. I got home from work with headaches, joint pain, and high blood pressure. I know I need to do something, but I don't know where to start. The weight slowly decreased like every day. I feel so much better physically and mentally. Eat, sleep, train, read, walk.
That'll sound overly simplistic, but it's those simple but basic things are what actually moves the needle.
I'm not hiding anymore, like walking by the mirror, passing by and occasionally.
Flexing.
Yeah, I built this!
What's been the biggest challenge in keeping it off? What habit helped you lose the most weight?
What would you go back and say to Malin from before?
Why didn't you do this before?
Hi, I'm Jamie.
And I'm Stacey.
And this is the Body Smart Podcast.
And we are women's weight loss experts on a mission to empower you to feel permanently in control of your health and your weight. And on that note, we are honoured to be joined today by one of our very own Body Smart graduates. We've got Malin with us all the way from Sweden today. So we're very excited to hear about your journey, Malin, because not only have you lost weight, of course, but you have done so much more since then, and we just can't get you to leave. So we wanted to talk all about the highs and lows of your journey, where you started, everything that came up along the way, and where you're at now. So if we could start at the beginning.
Yeah.
What was life like before you found Body Smart and started working with Terry?
I was a housewife. Not a housewife, I was a wife, a mother, and a teacher. And with a very busy life, and working too much, spending too little time with myself, and didn't work out at all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And what about taking care of your nutrition or even just general self-care?
No, it was more like I ate what was at home, and the self-care was, I have dogs, so walking. I have always been walking a lot. So that's pretty much it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you're quite a petite lady.
Yeah.
We were trying to do the maths. 150 something centimetres?
158 centimeters.
So just over 5 foot. And when you joined Body Smart, or you started working with Terry, what was your weight then?
90 kilos.
So for quite a petite lady, that must have felt really difficult on a small body.
Yeah, it was.
How did that impact your life every day?
Pain and high blood pressure, fatigue, and I was tired all the time.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of headaches because of my blood pressure.
When you say pain, is like joint pain?
Joint pain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and was that impacting any day-to-day activities or your job?
No, I just carried on anyway,
Yeah.
even because of the pain.
Well, as you do, you don't really have a choice, do you, I
Yeah.
suppose? Especially, like, you work with children, don't you? So it's quite active on your feet all day.
Yeah.
So if you were to take us back, had you always been up at 90 kilos? When did the weight gain maybe start to happen? Was it as early as childhood?
Yeah,
or?
no. I've been petite, or actually quite small when I was younger. I had a really active life with horses. I was a dressage rider, an elite dressage rider, actually. One of the biggest one in Sweden at that time. But the weight gain, actually, my pregnancies was quite rough, with a lot of health issues. And my first delivery was very traumatic and hospitalized because of things that happened, and a long period of time to recover, years.
Wow.
And then I got my second child, and I really didn't. I gained a lot of weight when I was pregnant. I was over 90 kilos then on my last weigh-in.
Would you mind sharing any of what happened when going through pregnancy?
They believed it was, let's see if I can find, high blood pressure and I don't actually know the term.
Is it preeclampsia?
Preeclampsia?
And it was quite all right during the pregnancy. The thing was when I was going to deliver my son, everything, he got stuck, and it was operations and another operation the day after because I didn't stop bleeding, and they thought I have a cloth in my lungs. They thought it was something wrong with my heart. My paperwork is like a thick book. So during my second pregnancy, I was well taken care of, but my weight was still up, but no preeclampsia.
Oh, that's
at
good.
that time. Yeah.
Do you think your weight struggled because you were used to being active and then you had that traumatic recovery and you weren't able to go back to the lifestyle? Or do you think it was also your relationship with food that changed?
I think I want to be the good housewife and make a lot of food for my children and bake and stuff. And I believe I put a lot of energy into that instead of the horses because I didn't have my horses left. They have gone. They were dead. And I didn't find anything I wanted to do. So I really didn't think about the food more that I want to eat and didn't think about any nutrition values or anything like that at that point.
Yeah. So what was it that made you one day think, I need to do something about this?
Because of my high blood pressure, the state of my well-being, both mentally and physically, was quite poorly, and I got help with my blood pressure, but it took like a year.
Do you know what your numbers were when it was at the peak of its height?
They didn't want to tell me because it was so high.
Oh, wow.
They said to me, I had like this monitoring for a weekend, and they said to me, you're not allowed to go anywhere. You need to stay at home. You are not allowed to stress or anything. So no, probably very high.
Very high.
Yeah.
That must have been really scary.
It was. Yeah.
And was that one of the main catalysts for you to decide, I need to sort my health out?
I knew I needed to sort like my blood pressure out, but it took me a whole year to get in contact with, take the next step because, I know I need to do something, but I don't know where to start and who to reach out to.
Did you even start along the thought of I need to lose weight, or was it just I need to eat healthier? What was your
It was more like I need to lose weight.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you mentioned like your physical health was obviously taking its toll, and then your high blood pressure was up. We said mentally as well, like your mental health was taking a toll. Like where were you at that point? Like how were you thinking and feeling?
The self-esteem wasn't that, you walked by a mirror and you didn't even look because you looked the other way because this isn't me. You don't recognize yourself in the mirror. Yeah. So it was hard, and at that time I had a really high tempo at my work because of reasons, and I was so tired all the time. I got home from work with headaches, and I slept 2 or 3 times before bedtime because I was so worn out.
And then you had a baby that didn't sleep?
Yeah. And the other child didn't eat. So yeah, I had my difficulties.
Yeah, definitely.
And the husband that works shift, so I was always alone with the children.
So eventually you figured I kind of need some help with this. And so you reached out and started working with Terry.
Yeah.
And what were the first steps that you took where you thought, this actually might work?
When I signed up with Terry, actually I was tracking just my protein and my calories, which was very helpful for me because then it was easy for me, and the weight slowly decreased like every day. I have never been in a plateau, so it was very encouraging. This is working. This is working, and with good planning. Yeah.
And this was just predominantly from diet, just calories, protein.
Yeah, and at this time it was like COVID, so I worked out at home, and I didn't see any results like in a couple of months after, and I accidentally looked myself in the mirror and looked, what the hell has happened to my arms? I can see something under there. So yeah, the first thing was like the dieting, like the food intake was the first sign.
And what had to change? And so obviously tracking calories,
Yeah.
tracking your protein intake.
Yeah.
Did you have to make any changes to your shopping and what that looked like? You mentioned earlier you were just eating what was in the home, but obviously to maybe have more of a higher protein diet, that would have changed how you shopped. And
Yeah, it did. And over time, I have getting a habit of pretty much buying the same things every week and do different things with it. It's chicken, it's mince and stuff, and I do that on Fridays. And I'm always meal prepping on the weekend for the whole week.
And actually, meal prepping is something a lot of people love and a lot of people hate.
I love it.
Was it something before this that you kind of did anyway for family ease? Or?
Yeah, for families. But, you know, as I told you before, my son has a sensory issue with eating. So I always had to make more dishes because he never ate the same as we did. And when you have this sensory issue, you always like to eat beige food like chicken nuggets, you know, it's like
not the most nutrient dense.
No. And when I was tired, if you go back, this is what I ate when I was tired too, because I didn't want to prep 2, 3, 4 different meals every time.
I think there's a lot of people listening that can resonate with that, of having to cook multiple meals. And especially when you think, I'm going to start eating healthy, you do immediately think, well, I'm going to have to eat different to the rest of the family. And it feels so overwhelming, doesn't it?
It is. But I pretty much do the same dishes as I've always done, but just change some of the ingredients to lower calorie products. So pretty much the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
So actually it wasn't a whole overhaul of your diet, more like small tweaks.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
And what about any habits that you realised were holding you back or you needed to change?
Definitely the sleeping. Because, you know, with small children, you don't get to sleep and you have always a child in your bed on yourself. So I have changed a lot in my sleeping environment, and it took me a couple of years to get my husband on the train.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I feel you.
Yeah. But I usually begin work at early in the morning, so I get up around 4:30 or 5 every day. So I'm in bed at 9.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am.
I don't blame you. Yeah. I go to bed at 9 and I get up at 6:30.
Yeah. And I pretty much never watch TV in the weekend, in the weeks. If I watch TV, it's on the weekend. So I'm pretty much don't need Netflix or things like that, because I work out, I eat, I go to sleep pretty much when I work.
And when people hear that, they might think, oh, God, that sounds really boring.
It is.
But there's obviously a benefit or you wouldn't do it. So why do you feel like this shift is still so valuable and worthwhile?
Because I feel so much better physically and mentally, and I have pushed out things that doesn't matter to me, or people that doesn't matter to me, or who just took my energy instead.
I think that's really common as well, that we just do things because we just do things. And until you audit your life and say, do I actually get happiness from this? You just spend time. You just throw it away.
Yeah. You before, just like house parties, barbecues, I never do that anymore because it took too much of my energy. I rarely do it. Yeah.
And so now you have, you reached your weight loss goal a long time ago.
Yes.
So you actually lost 35 kilos, which is about 75 pounds, which is insane. Like, as a proportion of your body weight, that is huge. So can we just have a little moment of Yay. But I know for you, it isn't just about the weight. So we have a big thing at Body Smart called NSVs, non-scale victories. Could you share what some of those were for you along the way?
For me, it's been mostly like strength goals, doing an amount of deadlifts or squats or pull-ups or things like that. That's what drives me.
And when you started this journey, did you ever think, oh, I'm going to be able to just do 10 pull-ups?
No, I could never imagine, never. And when I went to school, do a regular push-up on my toes, that was like not going to happen. But now I do it like.
So even though you were very active previously, you weren't strong in the same way?
No.
That's amazing.
Definitely not.
And you started in your 40s, right?
Yeah, I was 42.
So I think that's really
43.
empowering for people to hear. It's not like you were an athlete at school
No,
and then you regained it.
We did the Cooper's test, the running test in school. It was dreadful. And now I'm running 5K, 10K, 15K. So, no.
So it's never too late to start, right?
No.
Amazing. Was there anything else that was non-physical that changed?
Yeah, a lot of the mindset things. As I told you, I tend to put the energy in things that gives me energy and not taking my energy. And I work around. My gym time is sacred to me because that's my me time. And everything has to be planned around it. I'm not skipping one workout if I'm not ill or injured or whatever. If I'm doing my workouts because that's what keeps me up.
And what do you find? You said the things that, like, what wasn't giving you energy in the past, and now what does give you energy? I know you mentioned your workouts did, and
my workouts give me energy, and actually spending too much time with people that don't give me anything, it takes my energy.
Yeah.
Indeed. So.
And what were they like? Was that family, friends, colleagues?
All of them.
All of the above. Yeah.
My work takes a lot of energy, but it's my work. I have to do it anyway. So, but I have been more, over time, more restrictive even at work. This is where I put my energy. This is not a part of my work.
Yeah.
You cannot ask this from me because.
So it sounds like, I guess, like your tolerance for bullshit.
Yeah.
No, I mean, like, I think that's what it is. When you start to get busy or understand your priorities. So, like, what really shifted there? Because, we've got to this point where you've decided you want to lose weight. You start tracking your calories and protein. You're seeing the benefits of living a more healthy lifestyle. But when did that happen where you were just like, you know what? Like, I guess setting boundaries and saying no to a lot of people?
I cannot say, like, was the moment. It was just during the time. And I think this has come later than the actual weight loss. It's been more later in my journey.
And do you feel like that's maybe like a self-esteem and confidence, seeing how you've been able to achieve such a massive thing of overcoming your body, and losing weight and getting strong? You can walk a bit taller and have that confidence to say no to people.
And the urge to get more knowledge. I'm reading many of the books that you recommend. I'm watching the podcasts and roundtables, and when I can, doing coaching calls, which is very rare. That things of like educate my brain a little bit more has made that shift in mindset. Oh. And I have noticed that everything I do regarding my health and fitness also applies on my work. So
definitely working with kids, I think.
Yeah.
Because one thing I noticed having a 2-year-old is a lot of the techniques that we use with clients, I have to use on my son. And it works really well. Yeah. And then sometimes the staff at his daycare will say, oh, we're trying this new way of talking to them. I'm like, oh, really? That sounds great. We've been doing that in coaching for like 10 years. But it is really interesting how it translates. And even in your relationship, when you become more self-aware, less reactive, it has this ripple effect, doesn't it?
Yeah, and definitely on my colleagues, because everything you can apply on children, you can apply on adults. actually. So a lot of boundaries, and this is in my control. You talk about it a lot, and this isn't. So the things that isn't in my control is not. Don't spend time on it.
Yeah. And actually, you mentioned that before you began this journey, your stress level was very high.
Yeah.
Do you think those kind of tools have helped manage your stress better now?
Absolutely. Yes. I do.
What else do you find now helps you just stay calm?
My gym time. Yeah. Actually, it benefits so much. It's just sorting my thoughts, or sometimes don't think at all. Just do. Or it benefits my sleep. It benefits everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's the really nice thing about resistance training. I think people who find it boring maybe haven't got into that flow state before, where you can't think about stressing about work because you're focusing so hard on what you're trying to physically do.
Yeah.
And when you do get to that moment, I always feel like it's a bit of a meditative practice because you are just in that moment in your body. Is that something that you had to discover, or did you get that click?
No, it took a while. I trained at home for 8 months, and then I joined the commercial gym. It took me probably a year at the commercial gym before this happened. So 2 years.
So that was really good dedication to keep at it, even though you weren't maybe having that aha moment of like, oh, this is what they mean when they say my me time.
Yeah.
So what made you keep going before that?
I had habits to tick.
This is
I love it.
amazing.
Yeah.
So we were saying earlier, our best clients are school teachers because they like to tick things off and you give them a plan and they do the plan. And that was very much your approach, wasn't it?
Yeah, Terry, my coach, gave me a list of things I was supposed to do, and I needed to do them. So eat, sleep, train, read, walk.
It's annoying because it's to maybe some people listening, and that'll sound overly simplistic, but it's those simple basic things are what actually moves the needle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's annoying me if I haven't ticked the box.
Actually, I did want to ask about that because you are very regimented in a lot of ways. Do you still have moments where you have a bit of a perfectionist mindset? If you don't do it perfect, what happens?
Not like perfect, but I want to do it with a good effort.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you don't beat yourself up if something is missed?
No.
That's good to hear.
But it's rarely missed.
Yeah.
I had this summer I had to plan in for like a week off the gym because usually people get like normal time off because of illness or something like that, but I haven't been ill.
Oh yeah.
No. So and I have planned around everything. So I did get my 4 or 5 sessions a week either way. Because if I had a meeting on late on Monday, which is always my workout day, I had to do it on Tuesday instead. So I had to plan in a week off the gym.
Like a deload week.
Yeah, and it takes completely. I was just walking.
Okay.
And it took me like 2 or 3 days because like the stress levels because I'm not training went down. So,
yeah.
It does. I find that like it becomes like such an anchor, you know what I mean? Like if you exercise a lot regularly and you feel the benefits and you're really aware of the benefits and you notice it makes you sleep better and it manages your stress, you want to keep doing that activity because it's just a good reset every day to an extent. But yes, taking some time off and deloads are definitely necessary at times.
It's interesting that it took you a couple of years to get to that point though, because I think a lot of people start a fitness journey and if they still don't love it after 6 weeks, 8 weeks, they think, oh, it's not for me. But actually you're proof that it can be for you. It just takes a lot longer than you think.
Just changing the environment from being safe in my home to a gym was quite stressful in itself because, you don't want to look like an ass. I probably didn't, but in my opinion, I was. So, but shutting things out, just do my stuff.
What gave you that confidence? Because that's gym anxiety is, what you mentioned there is something a lot of people struggle with, like the working out at home, but the idea of going to a gym is is terrifying.
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just put my mind on it because it wasn't like my coach who decided I was going to a gym. It was my decision, and I had made that decision, and I was going to just make it, even with high stress levels, and I did.
And do you feel like it's one of those life experiences where you can pull strength from? Because if I did that, then I can do this.
Yeah. And I have done it again because I left the commercial gym after 2 years to a top-notch private gym. And it was quite a decision and stressful even to do that. But it took me like a week and I realized I fit in because I thought I was going to fit in this private gym with bodybuilders and crossfitters, but I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we always have our worst case scenario in our head, don't we?
Yeah.
So obviously you sound like there was loads of wins and loads of positives along the way. I know there was also challenges.
Yes.
So can we talk about some of those? Like, what were the big challenges that you faced?
The logging of the food is difficult to learn, or not difficult, but it takes time. And I'm glad I only logged calories and protein in the beginning with Terry. And when I joined Body Smart, I had been logging for 8 months before I had to do everything. So that was like the easy way in. But it was hard. It's still hard sometimes because I cannot find everything in. And eating out, it's hard
Yeah.
to log in my fitness plan. For me, because I rarely go out and eat.
Yeah. And you're guessing a lot of the time,
I'm guessing
right?
a lot, yeah.
So it was a difficult thing to learn, but do you feel like it was also essential to your progress?
Yes, it's given me a lot of knowledge because people along this journey, people who probably wanted the same thing as I wanted in the beginning, want to learn. And when I tell them this is how you do, they think it's too difficult. I don't understand. It's too difficult. I don't want to. I just let it go. So it's a good knowledge to have, to understand everything.
And you can't unlearn it, right? Once you know that's a high calorie food, that's a high protein food.
Which have
you
helped
just know
me
it.
Grocery shop.
Yes.
I know this is this much. This is this. Maybe it's not always as good to know, but I know I can make decisions when I go grocery shopping.
Yeah. And actually, this ties into one of the questions because Jaymie put something on Instagram stories saying that you were coming on and like, what did people want to ask you? Someone said, what helped you stick with your calorie deficit?
The logging. Actually, it was essential.
And were there days where it felt really difficult to stay under your calories? Like, what did you do on those days?
Sometimes, actually, I believe I was on my pretty much top notch on my calories for the first year, actually, because I remember Terry told me, it's Christmas Eve, you can eat whatever you want today, because I have been so consistent with my login and not over my calories. So, but the things that I like and are difficult to not eat as much of is chocolate. Yeah.
So do you still enjoy chocolate and have it regularly? Or?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
And that's the things I can overconsume.
Okay.
Definitely.
So you just have to be mindful then
Yeah.
with your portions.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people will have a similar one.
Yeah.
For some people it's wine, crisp chips, but for me it's chocolate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do you balance that? You know, if it's been one of those long, stressful days, you've had a bad night's sleep, those are the days where the chocolate might be calling your name.
Yeah.
What do you do?
Either I just go for a small amount, or I just think about it really. Is this really what I want? Or is just a coping mechanism for something else? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's totally fine.
Are you ready to lose 30 to 60 pounds in under 6 months without restrictive diets, countless hours exercising, or any guesswork? Well, we help women over 30 do exactly that. Lose weight guaranteed. And 5 to 10 pounds a month is the average weight loss. And that's not a cherry pick statistic, that is the average. Your weight loss results are 100% guaranteed, and you will lose unwanted body fat. So apply now at bodysmartfitness.com, but only if you're a woman over 30 and you want to lose 30 to 60 pounds in under 6 months.
Yeah.
Before you started this journey, was that the kind of rational conversation you'd have in your head about food, or would you just go for it?
I just went for it. Yeah.
And is there other internal discussions that you think are now commonplace like that? Like, do I really want this? Is it going to help? What would those be?
It's more, is this a healthy decision for me at this moment? Am I stressed? Because I stress it. When I'm stressed, like at work, I can just grab something. And I'm trying to stay out of those things, or reason with myself. Am I eating just because I'm stressed? Yes, no. Why am I stressed? Just leave it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It takes time.
Or drink water.
Yeah. Oh, I actually love having just like a herbal tea or something. 'Cause it's something to go and do, like to get away from the
Brush
stress.
my teeth.
Yeah.
Go for a walk.
Yeah. Great tips.
Yeah.
Other challenges I know you've got injuries, old injuries, and you've had other injuries, but you've said how important your training is for your mental health.
Yeah.
So how did you deal with those when they kind of resurfaced?
I actually have a really good chiro or physiotherapist who helps me with my rehab programs, who I see regularly. And I just change my training.
Mm-hmm.
I never don't train.
Yeah.
I just work around it, or strengthen the things I have to, or working with
It's
the
a
things.
really good, healthy attitude, because I've when I was in-person personal training, I trained a guy in a wheelchair. I trained a woman that was blind. I had multiple people who had done their ACL or broke a leg or an arm, and it's like, you can still train. You get, there's 100. You can train around the injury. You can train other body parts and limbs. And I think if you have that mindset of like, oh, I can always exercise. I might not be able to do what I was previously doing, but there's a way of working around it. It just means you can continue to stay active and then work. And I think it helps. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever had this. You ever tweak your back a little bit in a workout, and when it's a bit tight the next day, and then when you go and work out, it feels better afterwards.
Yeah.
Just the blood circulation just really, really helps.
Yeah.
Instead of having that mindset, oh, my back's a bit sore, I shouldn't go. And when you go in and it feels better.
Yeah, or just don't go as heavy.
Yeah. Or don't do something that you know is going to sort of trigger your back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Other challenges, you've also got quite severe food allergies, haven't you?
Yeah, I do.
And you've still managed to figure all this around that.
Yeah. I do miss every recipe, healthy recipes with peanut butter, and I cannot eat peanuts, so I have to work around a lot of things. But as I told you before, I pretty much eat the same things as I used to, but with a little tweaks here and there. So I just don't eat the foods I can't.
Yeah.
I cannot eat apple and pears. Eat the banana instead. So
Simple.
Yeah, I like the simplicity of it. I know we were speaking before, and it's like sometimes there's things that can crop up on somebody's weight loss journey that it's often the stuff that's not spoken about, which can be challenges with like family, friends, co-workers, like going on a weight loss journey.
Yeah.
We've seen it before with, we've had certain people's partners like try and sabotage them because without realizing, maybe it's just from an insecurity, like, oh, my wife's changing so much, she's becoming this different person. But I know you mentioned you had your own challenges with going through your own weight loss journey with some people.
yeah. Actually, mostly silence sometimes, just not giving me positive thoughts of what I'm doing, just staying quiet, or actually being pretty mean. Mostly women, actually, who's been pretty mean to me during this time.
And is that, like, how did that show up?
Mean comments about my appearance. For instance, now there's only half of you left. Your husband will only love you half as much.
No. Who's
Wow.
that?
A co-worker.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't even know what to say. I can't imagine anyone saying that to my face.
Or don't lose any more weight because you get wrinkles.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Things like that.
Yeah.
like co-workers as well. I mean, it's one thing someone saying it to you online, you know, you've got to have a thick skin when you post things online, but people saying it to your face, do you feel like that came from a place of insecurity of their own?
Yeah. It's hurtful, but I have come to the conclusion it's like their feelings reflecting on me.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, it's hurtful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how did you handle that? Obviously, you didn't let it change your course.
I spoke to my coach, Terry. He knows all of those things. And I have a very supportive family in my husband. And I tell him everything, so he knows. And he's very supportive. So,
Yeah. Although you did mention that not everyone in the family was as supportive at the beginning, but they've come around.
yeah, when I come around, it took a couple of years. Mostly like comments that I changed to low-fat products or zero-calorie drinks. You know, it's not good with that aspartame, or are you afraid of fat, or things like that. But I think things have come around too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, have there been positive ripple effects through your family?
Yeah, I believe. I haven't been told like to my face, but I believe my things have inspired family members. For example, my brother, in a positive way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's not instant, is it? It might be decades later.
Yes.
Especially with your kids, for example. You know, they've seen you overcome these things. They've seen you getting abs at 47. Like, they're not going to have those limiting beliefs of, I can't do that because mum does it, which is amazing.
You should see my daughter. Look at my biceps.
Yeah. I mean, look at your biceps.
Yeah, I love it.
She stands in front of me. Look at my biceps, Mum.
I love it. And so this is kind of the thing that it's going to pay forward for the rest of her adult life because of the way that you've taken control of your health, which is amazing.
Yeah.
With changes, like we've just said, that will ripple out, do you feel your personality has changed as you've lost weight?
More like a sparkle in my confidence. Yes, I know. I'm not hiding anymore, like walking by the mirror. It's like I'm passing by and occasionally...
Flexing. Hey.
Yeah. I built this with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm more confident in the work I've done.
Mm-hmm.
I'm proud of it.
Yeah.
You should be,
Yeah.
And it's quite hard, I think, as a woman, well, as anyone, but to say I'm proud of myself.
Yeah.
Is that something that took a while for you to get comfortable saying?
Yes, and I'm not British, so I'm from Sweden, and you don't like take pride in things because then you think you are superior. So it's like in my culture, you don't express those things.
Yeah.
So it's been I've been thinking it in my mind, but not expressing it.
And now
myself.
do you feel like, actually, I can say it?
I can say it, yes.
You totally
But
should.
but I choose the ones I tell it to.
Because
I do it to my the ones that support me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and I guess you just got to like choose your battles and conversations, haven't you? Because certain people will maybe just cast negativity at you if you try and say something positive to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to poke the tiger, whatever the saying is.
Or like you don't supposed to think you're better than anyone else. It's like that mentality, like kind of thing. Yeah.
It's interesting though, because you said you've kind of removed certain social situations or certain people from your life. Do you feel you've now gravitated more to people who would accept that and would maybe say even those things themselves?
Yeah, my circle is very tight.
Yeah.
I have just few people.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah. You do find that you end up sometimes when you live, you become a healthy person, and when you start hanging around with more healthy people who have healthy boundaries and talk about personal development and growth, you almost start to feel like you're in a bubble. Like everyone you know lives a healthy lifestyle and does really well and is thinking positive, and you're talking about, have you read Atomic Habits or have you done this? And it becomes intoxicating of what's happening, and you realize it's because you've cut a lot of the negativity out your life.
Yeah.
And it makes it easier, you know what I mean? Because you can feel comfortable and confident sharing that wins, because they'll share the wins back with you too.
Yeah. Some people you cannot choose to have in your life or not, but I can choose the things I express.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah.
So if we can talk a bit about what happened after reaching your weight loss goal, because as I said earlier, you didn't get there and go, okay, that's me done, bye guys. So for you, what made you think, do you know what, there's more, I can do more, I can achieve more?
I wasn't done. I have so much more to learn, and both like knowledge, but also doing things like different kind of exercises, or it's like a never-ending story.
Yeah.
Yeah, it totally is.
If you scratch a bit here, then there is something else, or it's mobility, or they are running, or I have much to do.
Yeah.
And with maintaining your weight,
Yeah.
obviously nobody stays the exact same weight forever. So what's that journey been like? Because often when people finish a diet, their weight goes way up
Yeah.
and they go back to square one,
Yeah.
or they find some sort of middle ground. What was your experience?
First of all, the reverse diet was like heaven.
It was like hell.
Heaven.
Right. I was going to say, yeah.
No, because yes, I can eat a little bit more, and I can add a little extra. And when you increase the calories, you're like, I cannot eat this much. But after a while, you adapt and you go to maintenance, and you can eat pretty much a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. But of course, I like chocolate, so sometimes the weight goes up, and then I have to cut the calories for a couple of weeks.
But you've been able to maintain your weight for about 2 years now.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is amazing. Which it really does, because that's the statistic, isn't it? Like 95% of people will regain the weight within the next sort of like 2 years. So you are part of the 5%, Malin. And can kick an ass. But yeah, like, could we just touch on the reverse diet? Because I think this is a part of, people are in a calorie deficit. They've maybe done that for a year or 2 years, and you've had this mindset around food of like eating less food, or eating fewer calories, should I say, it's not always less food, equals me losing weight. Then the idea, like once you hit your weight loss goal, it's like such a celebration. But now I've got to eat more food. Like, was that something that you wrestled with at all? Like, did you find difficult because it was one part joy because I could eat more, but it was also like unknown territory because you let go of the control a bit. So what will happen if I eat more? Will I blow up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the mindset I had. Not the mindset, but that's thoughts that passes through because you're letting go a bit of the control of the deficit.
And that's totally normal because you've had this process that has worked so well for you, and now you're flipping it upside down.
Yeah.
Of course that's going to feel scary.
Yeah.
But obviously, as time goes on, the way we do it is quite slow so that you can get to trust, actually, this is going to be okay. And what kind of tools did you find you still needed during, because you learn a lot of tools during weight loss and then you don't just park them. What kind of tools did you continue to use?
I logged for quite a long period of time, and from time to time I'm off the logging, but I also want to learn more about the food or the nutrition, so I'm on and off.
Mm-hmm.
Like
you dip in and out.
Yeah, and that's a tool I use because it's so useful. Or like, how much should I put on my plate? Like strategy like that. You don't have to finish everything. I'm full now. Like those things of strategies.
Oh, that's interesting. So more like intuitive eating, knowing when you're full.
Yeah.
Was that something that you had to learn as part of this journey, or did you have those skills before you just weren't using them, do you think? I'm
brought up with the mindset you finish the plate. Yeah.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to unpick that.
It is. I still struggle with it because I can always eat a little bit more. And especially when you go out into a restaurant, I'm paying for this.
Yes.
I'm paying for this. I need to eat. So
I'm so the same.
yeah,
But you know what's funny? I don't know why this is. My mum always leaves like a fork full of food. It's not even like half the plate or it changes depending on the day. It's always like this much food.
Yeah.
And yet it was like impressed on us, you must clean your plate. And now I'm an adult, I'm like, why was she allowed to leave food? I don't understand. But it's just one of those things, isn't it? So many of us were told,
Yeah.
and it's just ingrained.
Yeah.
Then
It shows you, doesn't it? Like, I've got a friend, Eddie, same age as me, and he's one of them who leaves like a fork or two left, or sometimes more than that.
Yeah.
And it doesn't bother him at all. Like, he's like, everyone's like, I can't believe you can just do that. And he's like, that's just how I was brought up. And it just, so I think when I look at him as the example, I go, well, if that's something that you've struggled with or our clients have, and then you can pass that down to your kids, something that's like a struggle possibly every time you eat,
Yeah.
you just teach this lesson to your kids, like, you just stop eating when you're full.
Yeah.
And then that's a problem they never even encounter because it isn't for him. Like, he really struggled with understanding what we do because he's just never struggled with his weight, so he couldn't see the value in it. But it just, you can see he's being brought up with a lot of these really healthy habits and the difference it makes.
I feel love it, leave it. Love it, eat it, like it, leave it. That's also a good cue to use because also finishing the plate. If I don't like the potato, why should I eat it?
Yeah.
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 My kids doesn't like potatoes, then don't eat it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to ask actually, what little nuggets have you passed on to your kids as part of this?
That's one of those. And you don't have to finish your plate. And with my son's sensory eating problems, it's always like you don't have to finish the plate because I don't want you to feel nauseous. Nobody can force you to eat because like my daughter, she doesn't like mashed potatoes. She gags and throws up. Why should she eat it?
Yeah.
And no teacher, no grandparent, nobody can tell you to eat that. I'm very like firm with that. You can tell them your mother said I don't have to eat the mashed potato.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what about physical activity? Do you feel like it's rubbed off on them a bit as well, seeing you being so
Especially
active?
my daughter, she trains Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Oh, does she?
Yes, and she's just 11, and you're not allowed to the gym until you're 13, so she's just waiting, and she wants to have big biceps like you.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My son has been on and off to the gym, but not regularly.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Have you had any kind of big wobbles since you did your reverse diet and you've been in maintenance, and what caused them?
For a while, I didn't know what goal I was so aiming for because I have done a few bigger competitions, and for a while I wasn't like where I have done 3 toughest. It's like obstacle course races, and when I have done 3, should I try something else? But I didn't know what to do, so it took me a while.
Yeah.
And that can like get to your mind because what am I aiming for? So how should I tell my coach how is my workouts going to be?
Yeah.
Yeah, not just workout. I want to aim for a goal.
And actually that gives you purpose then, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And the reason to tick
Yeah.
all those boxes.
Yeah.
Otherwise it's a bit like...
Yeah, it was like, which direction am I going?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what goals are you working on now then?
Endurance and strength goals. I have added running since March.
Never
So-
been a runner before?
No.
Okay.
During those obstacle races, I trained for like 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
But with this time, I have been more like cautious with my running because I have a few problems last time with like hamstring problems and nerve problems.
Sciatica?
Yeah, exactly. Ischias in Swedish. So I'm more cautious and more like a slow progressor over time.
Yeah.
So
This is
that's-
actually the smart way to do it,
Yeah.
to be honest.
Yeah.
Definitely. And you've started doing high rocks training, which
Yeah.
is no like walk in the park.
No.
It's pretty intense. You've entered a competition, haven't you?
No, I haven't. Until,
Oh.
No.
I thought you were doing it in December.
I am entering in December. I
Yeah.
thought you said I have entered. No.
So what's the training look like for that, and how is that keeping you focused?
It's hard. It's really hard. I have 2 upper sessions and 2 lower sessions, which they are heavy
Every week?
every week.
Yeah.
And 2 to 3 running sessions a week. The focus is sometimes very wobbly, and I can't do this, but then I got another mindset, and yes, it's manageable. And I have been doing like this test drives, runs, and it's pretty decent. And I know my weights, like on the sled, have increased over time because it's a lot you're gonna push or pull.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting that you still have those kind of confidence wobbles, though, because you've achieved so much.
I do all the time, from week to week.
Did you ever imagine when you were 35 kilos heavier, had the high blood pressure, were struggling with food and everything that got on, that you would be doing high rocks training 6 or 7 times a week?
No.
Yeah.
Actually, when I joined Terry, I was just, I'm going to lose weight. I didn't have a weight goal. I didn't have a training like in my head. I didn't, because we didn't set like SMART goals at that time. So I was just going to lose some weight.
That was just the main
Yeah.
focus. Just let's
For
lose
health
a little
reasons.
bit of weight for health.
Yeah.
And then that changed into
Something else.
yeah, you could say that.
The goals are always moving, though, aren't they? Because you realise what you're capable of.
Yeah.
And so you set a goal and then you do it and you think, oh, well, what else can I do now?
Yeah. I realize I'm quite capable.
I think quite is an understatement. Yeah, you know what I mean?
You're hard on yourself. And when you're in your little bubble, in your gym, you're working, you don't spend time with so much people. I'm pretty crappy at it, right? And then you sometimes step out like your comfort zone, like today. I might have something to say.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I really would love to know, with like those insights, what would you go back and say to Malin from before?
Why didn't you do this before? But I believe it's kind of circumstances that makes you, this is the right moment. I had to discover Terry. I have to like this. This was the right moment. If I haven't joined him, I might have joined another coach. Maybe the result hasn't been the same. So
Was meant to be.
it was meant to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what one piece of advice would you have for someone else who's in the same position that you were in?
Just do it and stay consistent, because this takes time. You're working over time, a lot of time. You won't see any results from day to day. It just can take a couple of months, depending on how much you have to lose or what your goals are.
So be patient as well.
Very patient. Yeah.
And is there one like practical tip that you would give somebody?
Meal
That's-
prep.
Meal
Meal
prep.
prep.
Oh yeah.
Plan your groceries shopping, meal prep. I meal prep for 5 days, and then I often eat something else on the weekend, just because, taste buds and stuff. But meal prep.
Yeah, it does make it, like, I find anytime I get really busy, like, for me, sometimes I can actually like lose a little bit of weight, because I just become, because time is so scarce, I become so regimented and organized because there's not a spare minute. So I end up just having a lot of those go-to meals or meals that are prepped, and you just you have to remove the decision fatigue, because you can't, if you're going for lunch at 1:00 and you've got like 1,000,001 things to do and you've got a set amount of time, you're just thinking, I haven't got time to look at the back of the packet this and track this and do this. You just need to be organized and prepped for those times.
And you don't want to be making decisions, do you? You just want to, that's what I'm going to eat, I'll just eat it.
Yeah, it's like I'm working till 5, I'm going and work out, I'm really hungry when I get home. Microwave for 2 minutes and just eat.
Yeah.
Done and deal.
Simple.
I have my
You make
little-
everything sound so simple, Malin.
But simple, not easy. You know what I mean?
know.
Yeah.
It becomes
It becomes
it
easier.
becomes simple when you follow the habits,
Yeah.
the strategies.
Yeah.
Easy. It's not easy, but it's easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have got one of our viral sort of quotes that we put up, which is the average lifespan of an American woman is 79, which means midlife is 39. What would you say to that, Malin?
It's insane.
It's insane.
It's insane. Yeah. It's crazy, actually, but understandable because of nutrition habits and exercise habits. Sadly.
And high blood pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
And if someone's in that situation, you know, where they've got poor nutrition habits and that possibly could be
Yeah.
their life expectancy, like what would you say to them?
It's hard to say something to them because I can say something, but I believe it might be like, I don't want to hear this because the blood pressure, for instance, doesn't kill me today, but it will in the long run. So it's hard to tell someone to take care of themselves because I believe it's a decision you have to make on your own.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever have anyone trying to tell you when you were
Yeah.
unhealthy?
Yeah.
How did you take it?
No way in hell. You cannot tell me what to do with me and my body. I have to come to the conclusion by myself.
Yeah. And did it take getting to rock bottom, really, for that to happen? Or do you think it was not too bad yet?
It was bad. Yeah. So.
Yeah, amazing. I've got a couple of questions, which I'll just read through some of them. These are the questions that people wanted to ask you.
Okay.
So what was the biggest change in your mindset?
That I'm capable of doing all these things.
And you feel like that's really transpired into other areas of your life too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's I can apply it on everything. Yeah.
How did you deal with stress at school? I'm also a teacher, this person's asked.
I have like 30 minutes breaks. I went out for walks because I wanted the silence and the environment change.
Yeah.
It didn't matter if it was summer, if it was snow and 20 minus, I went for a walk. That's one of the stress management, or taking the break without other people because, you know, talking about the work or scrolling on my phone, I just went somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. Did losing fat change your personality? Like if we go back to Malin.
Yeah. I don't know if it changed, but I got more confident or
Confident how?
in myself, in my body and like in my mind. I'm confident in decisions I make, in what I'm saying or what I'm doing.
And how's that impacted your life?
Limited the stress.
Limited, yeah.
Yeah.
And more enjoyable?
More enjoyable, yes.
Definitely.
Yeah.
What's been the biggest challenge in keeping it off? Is there anything that is still a constant struggle?
Chocolate.
Chocolate. Yeah.
Yeah. I got
Just-
a sweet tooth.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what, just from wanting to enjoy a little bit, but that not turning into a lot?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
And how do you deal with that?
Like I told you before, like eating a smaller amount or allowing myself to eat more from time to time. Because if I eat more, it's usually not that good.
Yeah.
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 That
The
is
pleasure definitely
such
goes
a good
down.
point.
Yeah.
I actually think a lot of people could benefit from giving themselves like a free rein on the foods they think they love, because if you go mad on it, you actually go, I don't know, I actually want this for a while, or it doesn't actually taste that great after 10 pieces. So naturally next time you stop at 9.
Yeah.
And you have to, like you said earlier, you have to learn that or be ready for that yourself. Someone can't impose that boundary on you.
No.
You have to learn it yourself.
Because if someone say you cannot eat that, I want it even more.
What aspect of coaching on Body Smart was the most beneficial for you?
The mindset, because I had lost so much before I came into Body Smart. It's more the mindset, work I've done, and the coaches. That's also a reason I stayed for so long, because I want the programming for my workouts, because I need a challenge, and I believe if I was going to do my program myself, I wouldn't be like very consistent and not really sure I'm doing the right things. I want like a professional doing it for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you lost 35 kilos, about 75 pounds. How long did that take?
I believe it was a year or 13 months.
So that's about £6 a month.
Don't be asking me to do real-time maths, Jaymie.
It's actually a bit more. Okay, we got 2 more. So what habit helped you lose the most weight?
Meal prepping.
Meal prepping? Yeah. Just helped with the consistency of calories and protein.
There wasn't like an easy way out, because this is what I prepped and this is what I'm going to eat. Not like going hungry to the grocery store and just reading labels or planning, because this was easy, like work, gym, eat. Yeah.
And we've got 1 more. So this is obviously for somebody who's started with Body Smart. They've asked, what's one piece of advice for anyone starting their Body Smart journey to get the most from it?
To stay consistent and ticking off the habits.
Stay consistent and ticking off the habits?
Yeah. And realize that you're working overtime. There are no quick fix.
Yeah. Amazing.
Thanks, Malin. Have you got any questions for us?
No, I don't.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on, and you are a bit of a legend around the Body Smart HQ, so we're all a bit starstruck having you in today.
It's the opposites around. I'm starstruck.
So thanks for making the journey, because I know it's been, a long way and a big trip, but hopefully you've enjoyed seeing Liverpool as well.
I do.
Thanks again, Malin.
Yeah, thank you.